Crews are still out tonight at 6 working on bringing down what remains of a parking garage in Grace Ferry. The structure was under construction when a stairwell collapsed, killing one worker and hurting 2 others. Another 2 men remain missing and are presumed dead tonight. Thank you for joining us for NBC 10 News at 6. I'm Kelsey Kushner. Demolition started at 9 o'clock Saturday morning, and only a portion of the structure is still standing. Time-lapse video shows the comparison of the work that happened yesterday and the progress that's been made over the last 24 hours. As the building comes down, officials are working on a plan to recover the remains of 2 men presumed dead inside the collapsed garage. We've learned the names of 2 of the 3 workers involved in the deadly collapse. They've been identified to NBC 10 as Mark Scott Jr. and Matthew Kane. We are still working to learn more about the 3rd victim. We have team coverage in Grace Ferry tonight. Miguel Martinez-Valle spent the day in the community as the city rallies around neighbors impacted by the collapse and demolition. But we begin with Brian Sheehan and the latest on the demolition. Brian.
Yeah, this is an extremely slow and tedious process. The city says the main focus right now is getting the structure down safely and removing the bodies of the 2 men who are buried inside of it. As we focus in on the site, you are looking at the far right wall. It is all that remains standing. The rest of the structure is now in pieces piled several stories high. You see some of the workers using a piece of machinery on the ground. It's unclear what they are doing since it is not entirely visible from our vantage point, but they have made a lot of progress today. Take a look. The large portion of the wall came down shortly after crews resumed demolition around 7:30 this morning. Prior to that, the wrecking ball took out a big chunk from the top floor. Some of the family members of the construction workers who remain missing have been gathering near the site. Both are members of Iron Workers Local 401. I spoke with the cousin of one of the men. He tells me his entire family is in shock and describes his relative as a great guy, someone who is loved by so many people. He actually came up from the Jersey Shore to be here with his loved ones and offer support. We are also hearing from Mayor Sherelle Parker again today. Take a listen to what she had to say.
First, right now, our focus today is on the demolition and the recovery, dignity for those iron workers and their families, and respect. That's first and foremost.
Yeah, recovering with dignity and respect. Those are the goals. Back here live, the wrecking ball hasn't moved in a while, so it's unclear if they are beginning that part of the recovery process. But as we've been saying, it has been slow and methodical. Miguel, you have been on scene for hours. What have you seen today?
Yeah, Brian, well, we've been seeing the city leaders here rallying around the community who's been affected by the several days now of work that has area streets closed and businesses closed too. So this is Finnegan Playground. This is where city officials, they had a food handout event earlier. You can see it's just 2 blocks from where you are, Brian. You can see here the collapse site. So neighbors, obviously, they've been dealing with this for days now, trying to process the shock and the grief that comes with the death associated with this collapse. And that's why the city also shared all of these resources, including trauma care. Making progress on the demolition and recovery efforts at the Grace Ferry collapse site. The crews, they're taking their time to ensure safety, which means Grace Ferry Ave and surrounding streets are still shut down to give them space to work. The Fresh Grocer and other surrounding businesses are also closed for a 4th day in a row.
That's the only grocery store that we have around here and everything, and so it affected us a lot.
To help impacted neighbors, the mayor, council president, and various organizations came together for a food giveaway and resource event at Finnegan Playground. Dozens of neighbors lined up to get essentials like produce and canned goods, even diapers.
We're here to get what few things we need at the store that we can't get, like a loaf of bread.
The event also provided information on trauma support, officials even going door to door to check on those who live near the collapse site. Many neighbors I spoke to tell me they're still shaken by the tragic loss of life.
And to see that they got most of the building down today and then there's still bodies under there, it's kind of hurtful, you know.
Officials wouldn't say how long these recovery and cleanup efforts will continue, but as neighbors look for answers as to what exactly went wrong in the case, officials did promise transparency as they continue the investigation.
My prayers goes out to the families, and we're going to stay on this as long as we can to make sure we get to the bottom of it. Somebody will be held accountable.
Another look here at the collapse site. As Brian said, right now the equipment is not moving. It's unclear if maybe they are working to strategize recovery efforts here. Again, there's no clear timeline of when things will reopen, when the collapse will finish, the recovery will finish, and when streets will be reopened. The city says they want to take their time. They also said that this will not be the only time that they're visiting this community and offering resources. I'll send it back to you. I'm Miguel Martinez-Valle, NBC 10 News.
Well, the Philadelphia Building Trades Council honored the 3 union iron workers killed in the parking garage collapse. The council opened one of Philadelphia's premier high school basketball tournaments with a moment of silence. That was the special tribute at the 39th Annual All-Star Labor Classic at Holy Family University, a moment of unity, remembrance, and respect to the ironworkers who lost their lives.